wasn't feeling the best, and that he said depending on how he's feeling, he might connect with us on Zoom or not. So fair enough. We hope that he feels better very soon. So for now, there's 5 of us are on the table. We'll move on to approval of minutes. And I guess the only minutes that are to be approved this time are the regular meeting / budget workshop, March 10th, 2022. And does someone want to make a motion to accept those? And so Larry has the motion. Is there a second? He's got the second. Any changes to those minutes?
I have a question on that. We want to worry about little typos and things to make corrections, or, I mean, I don't want to waste our time, but on the other hand, is it important to fix a little bit?
Sure.
What do you think? I mean, just in general.
I know whenever we accept the minutes, I always say any changes, and people are welcome to make any changes that they observe, however big or small or whatever, it's okay with me.
I'm sorry, I don't remember the paragraph. I think paragraph 4 that talks about the next to last line should be changed to "in." It's a very minor thing, as I said, but I don't know if we want to do that on a regular basis or it's not worth it.
If it makes the minutes accurate, then everybody else is okay with that.
You want to talk about that? That little word.
Yep, hey, that's why you're on the Board of Finance. So, any other changes to the minutes? Any other changes? All right, hearing none, everyone in favor of accepting the minutes with that correction, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? All right, this one carries 5-0. So, the next item on the agenda is correspondence. We received correspondence from the town clerk on March 11th, email clarification of budget line items, and we received an email memo from the tax collector dated March 14th, expressing support for town administrative position. Any other correspondence to come in from the outside? I know there's been some emails going around, like between the first selectmen and ourselves, following up with questions that we had at the last budget workshop, but anything else coming in that that's not captured here and all right. So move on to citizens' comments, and this is budget season, so we keep total comments from each person to a maximum of 3 minutes. I always like to remind people it's not meant to be confrontational or to prevent someone from expressing their thoughts or concerns. It's just it's to prevent people from going on for a long time because, let's face it, the reason we're all here in the room is to do the work of this budget workshop. And so sometimes you get a line of people who want to make comments, 5, 6, 7 people. And so even keeping it 3 minutes can go for a stretch. Again, we want to just preserve enough time so that the Board of Finance can do its work. That being said, is there any citizen here who has a comment at this? For the record, could you please state your name and address?
William Warner, Lowell Davis Road. And basically, since the selectmen have placed the position of town administrator into the budget, my wife and I have spoken to 2 dozen different people in town. And the only person that we spoke to that's in favor of it is Rennie Moore, who has spent 18 years as a tax collector. And during that time, he's gone through 6 different first collectors. Now, Rennie is an anomaly because he spent 18 years in the job. From the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average tenure of a male in 2020 is 4.3 years. The average tenure for a female in 2020 is 3.9 years. Another study says for an average tenure for a town manager administrator is 3 to 5 years. Now, I was in the engineering field. In the engineering field, we found that good engineers typically only last about 3 to 4 years, and they go off to another company. For all the incentives. It was usually the mediocre ones that stuck around for about 10 years. I'm not implying that Randy's mediocre. Randy's does what he does, he's very good. In a position where there's not a lot of stress, not a lot of controversy. He can go about his day to day, and it's a fairly good job. Position of town administrator is not like that. And problem I see is most applicants to the administration town position in Thompson are going to be using as a stepping stone, larger and more prestigious position. And Thompson will be worse off, especially when you consider that the cost to replace professionals, especially of that caliber, definitely about 2 times.
You, any other citizens' comments? Okay, could you please state your name and address for the record?
Sure. John Sharp, Laurel Ave. Just to follow up from last week's Board of Finance workshop, I do have information in case you need it as far as budgetary items and so forth. Little concern as far as many times we're hearing throughout that the new merger or consolidation with Putnam Ambulance is going to benefit by having 24/7 ambulance service. I need to go on to the record and state that for 79 years, before we were forced to relinquish the PSA, and I do emphasize forced to relinquish it, that we were doing it 24/7, 365 days a year. I think the clarification may be that it's on an hourly basis or projected to be on an hourly basis, whereas Community Fire Company did it both hourly and stipend pay. Just need to make that clear for townspeople. Again, before we were forced to relinquish its PSA from the town, we covered it 365, 24/7, night and day. Referring to page structure as hourly, as far as I'm concerned, basically I've been a volunteer for 36 years. I also volunteered for 16 years on the ambulance service. It did change. It did have to become a paid service because volunteers are hard to come by. If it wasn't for the fact that 13 people resigned within one day, we would have not been forced to relinquish that license or PSA. I went through a lot of scrutiny last year, both on social media in regards to the fact that, you know, we just relinquished it. We just gave it up. We forced the town. We didn't. The big picture, if you ask me, is the 13 people that just up and resigned. Again, I just want to bring that to light to the Board of Finance. I do have information if you need it as far as budgetary items. I know that was brought up last week, but I just want to make that. Thank you.
Any other citizens' comments? For the record, can you please state your name?
John Wright, 39 East Thompson Road. I just want to speak in favor of the town administrator. I think if providing we have an administrator that would provide continuity in the town and the administration of the town, whatever the, I want to say the workings of the town. And that, as we know, the potential is there for having someone running the town or a group of 3 people, selectmen running the town every 2 years. And from my experience of observing these 3 people is that the potential is there. By the time they get into office, it takes them a year to learn what's going on. And then the second year for the possibility of running for office again, they're spending some more time devoting that office time to re-election. So I'm in favor of that.
Thank you. Any other comments for the record? Please name and address.
Tom Angelo, 640 Fabian Road. Maybe I'm an anomaly. I spent 22 years at Crabtree, and even when I did not job jump after 3 years, and I managed a $40 million. My whole philosophy with the town manager, I support it for the same reason that John Weiss just said. We have a multi-million-dollar company here, which is the town of Thompson. And to think that when a selectman gets in after the first year, they're just learning the position and they're coming up for re-election. Never get their initiative done. I'm for it, with obviously some caveat behind it, as to the Board of Selectmen would have final say over any approvals. basically just like a corporation would run. Board of directors, which would be the selectmen, oversee the CEO. CEO would be the town manager. And I approve that.
Thank you. Any other citizens have comments? For the record, state your name and address.
Sally White, 308 East Thompson Road. The last thing we want to do is have continuity of mediocrity. New England towns were meant to operate with no frills, simply and economically, so that the citizens could pursue fruitful and productive lives. I wouldn't want to leave my job, whether for a nonprofit or a for-profit business during the day, and then go home and live in a company town that's run by a CEO. Private world and the government world are two different things. The exchange between a board of selectmen and the townspeople is unique. And there's a reason for it, especially at this level of government. I had a number of notes. I'm not as prepared as I would like to be. There will be a letter published in the Villager tomorrow. I actually would have liked to have made these comments at the public budget meeting, but I wasn't able to get there until it was adjourned. It would have been more suitable there, likely, but I realize that as the Board of Finance, you're focused on the sound financial footing of the town and its ability to be solvent and to respect the nature, the demographics of the town. So one of the thoughts is, if you have a so-called extra 125,000, which isn't fully burdened, and I wish that when salaries are presented, they would be presented as with all of their compensation. I would expect it to be another 15, 20,000, maybe more than that, fully burdened. But you're going to be our last line of defense, and I can't imagine that you're going to find an extra $125,000 in the budget. If you aren't our last line of defense to utterly and forever, unless we got rid of it in the future, if it came to be, then it's going to go to town vote, and we'll have to face it in now the combined budget. Whereas we used to have the ability to vote in the town and school budget, it's all going to be one. And I suspect that you would be meeting a situation again where the budget will get voted down again and again and again, because the information will be put out there about the pitfalls, how it will be utterly changed. And I'll try to present a few of them, but it is a new layer of management that comes with monetary and other types of costs. And I believe if you have a so-called professional who administers the town, that you would see over the course of years increasing costs in the budget as the years go by. Because there's going to be, they become a conduit of influence from the regional conferences of government. And this may be a new concept for people. This isn't just bringing in like an office manager. This is utterly changing your form of government. The regional conferences of government, like NECOG, they feed policy down. And that policy may come from the federal level, the state level, and then what the regional conferences want. And then they present it and try to influence the towns. And when you have a town administrator, they're going to be essentially mainlining the agenda of governments at higher levels above us. Their loyalty generally is not going to be to the town, it's going to be to their professional organization and to the levels of government above them that are influencing them. We will essentially lose control, character, and you're going to lose the soul of your town. It sets up the town for being very malleable to policies that are alien to our concept of government, essentially centralization and socialization of our government. The Board of Selectmen, who are literally selected by the townspeople as our colleagues in the, I guess, the challenges of life on Earth. And we're meant to take turns. And it's a good thing to change them out periodically. And if you do have a mediocre town administrator, you don't want that continuity, and they're harder to get rid of because they become a staff member. And you'll see in some instances, I mean, there are some that may be fine and they would be the exception. I think one of the caveats, if God forbid we ever go to that, would be that they would have to be a resident of town. If part of this is to hire from somebody out of town, then that's a huge clue that this is not good for the town of Thompson. But it's an unnecessary and burdensome layer of management. And when the Board of Selectmen and the other department heads, other staff members are doing their jobs, then we don't need anything else. If they're not doing them, they don't know how to do them. If they're daunted by them, if they don't have the knowledge or the aptitude, then they shouldn't be in them and we should elect someone else. But let's not be like in a mercenary situation where we hire out someone to do the job that we should be doing. This becomes a mercenary type of position. So please take that under consideration. You are our last line of defense for continuity of a very sound and proven form of government.
Any other citizens' comments? Or correcting to your own comment?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm Angelo, 640 Fagan Road, full transparency on the Board of Education member as well as president.
Any other citizens' comments? Any other citizens? Any citizens' comments from citizens who are joining us by Zoom? Any citizens' comments from people joining us on Zoom? Okay, I guess that's it. Thank you. So we'll move on to budget workshop, and I believe we're gonna revisit the registrars first. Is that what we're gonna do? Because it was earlier in the budget, we're gonna come back to it. And then once we finish that, then we're gonna jump back to emergency services. Right? Or-
Yes.
I can't remember if that's what we're gonna do.
And Erin, for some reason, I thought I was gonna have to give a report tonight. This is Amy St. Ange for the
Oh,
the
yes.
public audience. But I did want to announce that as of 5:30 today, we hired our combined finance director, who is in the Zoom audience right now, William Steglitz, a longtime resident of Thompson. And I couldn't be more thrilled. He's going to be an amazing addition to this town. Bill, do you want to say anything?
Hi, everyone. Very excited about the position. And thank you, Amy.
Thank you for taking the position.
You're welcome. I'm very much looking forward to getting on board and getting the new role rolling.
Welcome, Bill.
Thank you.
And that was really all I had.
Good. Very good. So we can step into registrars of voters, and I don't know what page that is on.
Oh, let me pull it up.
Brittany, can I ask you, is there a start date for Bill?
Oh, April 4th.
It's on, oh, I guess the pages are in one, two, the third page, and it's down at the bottom. And I do have a little note where it says, because it's specifically under election worker. At least that's where my note.
I believe it was
worker.
election workers. We were questioning the combining of districts, which failed at last night's town meeting. So I believe that what Frank has should stay because we will need those election workers for 4 districts because it's going to stay status quo. I don't know if there was another question, but I do have what Frank had provided me if there's any other questions.
Do we know how many election votes there that he's anticipating? I know it's a guess, but did he
He
indicate
did
that?
not specify, oh wait, no, budget assumes 1 general election, 1 primary and 3 referendums.
Anything else under elections and registration? Anyone want to discuss anything else under there? Oh, did somebody ask about machine costs? Because it's going from 32 to 64, although it was more than that in the past. Yeah, machine cost. It is. Some, I, maybe some.
I think we should generalize
I think
it.
somebody said, what's up with machine? Is there?
I
notes
didn't
in
take
that?
a note on that one. I just took a note on the,
Oh, okay, because you said, because sometimes you can open up.
and there's no notes in that.
I had asked if it was a rental that went up. I had asked it.
I had mistakenly not written that question down, so I can get it from the registrars next week.
Question was that?
Fair. Yes.
The other one. Salary.
We're still in elections. and
Yes,
registration.
we are, we're on 510070, election workers. 27.7% increase, so it looked like maybe we undershot 22, brought it down 2 low, and now we're correcting, but maybe there's. Was it went from 27 down to 18 now, probably.
That's right.
So I guess that would be another question.
Okay, so it's the fluctuation in the cost for election workers.
Why did we land at 23 this year?
Okay.
Oh, you mean, what's coming?
For this year, why did we land at 23 versus 18 last year? I was leaning into why it might.
You mean the coming budget?
Yeah, sorry, we do the workshop, I mean, this year,
No, there was
We
no
really don't
notes
have the
because
current
they
year's
didn't put the,
number.
they didn't put their data in.
this year I meant.
Well, I
Because
don't
of
think
what
we have
they
the current
provided
year's
in the
number
organized
either, though.
work.
That's only the budget.
Oh, you mean the spent to date? Yes,
I don't-
we know what's been spent to date in this line item? Sorry,
What's,
Amy.
I'm sorry, what?
On this, election workers, right, is that the question, what's been spent to date on election workers? line item?
Okay,
Yeah, or where do we figure, where do we figure we're gonna land, because 18 just tells us what the original budget was. Doesn't tell us what the actual.
Mr. McGarry had provided that he estimated that the 22 fiscal year 22 would end at 20,500.
More than budgeted, but nevertheless.
Right.
No, it's the other thing. Anything else under elections and registration? All right. Then I know there was discussion on town clerk, and then of course we got the email clarifying that's what's in the minutes, that's on the first line. Anything else in the town clerk? We're about to sort of jump back down to maybe the third, right? But I just know that there's a little bit of activity in the town clerk. Yes.
I think Dave had the basic questions there.
That's right, and we had her on the,
The IQ.
so are we ready to jump back down to fire department?
Go ahead. I would just say on the town clerk. Yeah, I could save this for. Board of Finance never commented again, but it's nice to have that email follow. It really helps because it was fresh, it was right away. We're all open on it. On it, exactly. It helps us more.
Agreed. Anything else before we jump back down to fire department? All right, fire department, and of course, there's a lot going on here, and then there's, questions about, the difference between the four departments versus community, and then there were emails with information. I don't know who wants to sort of step off here. If it's a Board of Finance member with a question, or if it's the first selectman, with an explanation of something, but, I know there's a lot to sort of unload.
Maybe, Amy, you gave us a lot of data. I wonder if you might review that for us. Would that be helpful for everybody? I certainly was interesting, the incidents, the number of incidents and so forth. That was interesting, but for me, I need a little clarification on exactly what that is or isn't.
Right, yeah, some of the data that I collected for you was provided for me from the reporting system that Jamie, our fire marshal, James Sine, enters. Some of those reports, they're very extensive. There's a lot of data. It's hard to like read out the information. I think what I was tasked with was initially answering the question from community as far as justifying why the Board of Selectmen, and it wasn't unanimous, but why 2 members of the Board of Selectmen had opted to reduce keep them flat this year while other departments had been increased by 10,000. The reasoning was from GO that the other 4 departments all have an R1 and respond to EMS calls. And when we had received the data, and all the final year's data is entered, and the sum total for EMS calls responses, Community Fire Company responded to 3. West Thompson Fire Department responded to 157. Quinnebog Fire Department responded to 93. Thompson Fire Engine Company responded to 135, and East Thompson Fire Department responded to 139 calls. So that was just EMS, and that was the meaning and the reason behind what the cut that we made. I know Rob Wirch had presented a few additional questions, which I tried to answer for you in an email today. I'm sorry, I do apologize for not getting it to you sooner. It's just been kind of a crazy week. So, but happy to answer any other questions, but that was our reasoning and our justification. The numbers spoke for themselves, and it's not just answering a call, it's also gas, staffing, wear and tear on vehicles. So those are all things that we tried to take into consideration. Great.
So 3 versus 100.
Yeah.
Would it be appropriate to ask Chief Sharp to see if there's a better understanding of that? Yeah.
Community Fire Company has always had the ambulance service. I'm sorry, John Sharp, more loud. Community Fire Company has always had the ambulance service for 79 years. Not a state mandate that any fire company be R1 certified or like R1 licensed. This data, I would like to ask, is this a couple years old? Is this just from last year where it was taken because the ambulance was dissolved? I don't know. I think a better understanding would be more or less what's been done over, say, 5 to 10 years. The ambulance was always in-house. The ambulance always responded. It was a centrally located facility. We did not require an R1 license at that point because we held the R2 license for the ambulance. Staffing was always in-house, 24/7.
You still don't go to even stuff.
Again, that is some of the issues. Because of the fact that we did not have an R1, we let the ambulance do what they were paid to do. As of today, I had got notification from Hartford OEMS that our license will be completed no less than March 28th. That we will have that as an R1 for the town. Again, if that answers your questions, if there's any more, I'd be more than happy to answer them for you.
And Amy, I believe this was last calendar year.
It was.
Calendar year as opposed to fiscal.
Correct.
Calendar year.
Yeah, just a general question on this particular issue. We have a fire advisory board, at least I don't know how active it is. while, so I wonder if they have any weigh in on this question at all, if they have any thoughts on it. Might be.
Well, we are working on reinstating, but note that there were very few public members that were part of the fire advisory. It was a board of the chiefs.
Chiefs.
We currently have a new member, Sean Stroman, who has a background as a professional firefighter. And I think we're going to try to regenerate it.
So I was active a few years ago, I think, and then it kind of
Kim,
faded away.
under the guidance of Kim Austin, she was
Right.
really working hard to get it to become active, to be more of an advisory committee. And then she had left the position and it just fell apart. Yeah. Always takes that strong leader
Yeah,
to
make it happen,
to make
right?
it happen.
I just wondered if it continued on or if it. So no input from them.
No, I am currently working with Sean Stroman and Justin Young as a small ad hoc group, working with me for a sample agreement provided to me by Attorney Slater. This agreement would be between the town and the fire department. It would be an agreement that spells out what the town agrees to cover and what is expected from the fire department. This will include providing call response times, how many members respond to each call, and among other things, maybe fitness for duty requirements, just to name a few. So that way I think it's important to fund our fire departments and to fund EMS. But as we bear more and more of the burden, there needs to be some accountability. So with the help of Mr. Stroman, we're working towards that currently to create a contract before the end of this year.
Because it's, the last maybe 4 years or 5 years, it's not double, but it's increased substantially.
Right. And we do want to provide.
Yeah, of course. The cost, sorry, the cost.
So that's a contract between the town and the individual fire companies?
Correct.
Meaning 5 fire companies, 5 contracts.
Correct.
And then each one is signed by the chief of the.
Or the board, probably
Okay,
maybe
or
the
the
board.
Whoever the chair of that board is, and then also signed by the first selectman.
Correct.
Okay, Amy, will that also address what will happen in the dissolving of one of the fire departments where you no longer want to stay in the business of fighting fires? Will it speak to the assets and to what the town can do and can't do in that regard?
Absolutely, that we would need to address that. We haven't gotten to that part yet. It is in the contract that was sent to me from the attorney, the sample.
Steve, saying the costs have moved up over the years. It's almost $900,000. It's approaching 10% of what it has to take care of. Big number. It's important department.
Yeah.
It's a big number.
Yeah.
But it's not cheap.
That's right. I wanted to also just share, and this may raise some more questions. I asked a lot of the questions earlier, and thank you, Amy, for detailing it all. I didn't get a chance to digest all of the attachments, but I did.
The attachments are pretty intense.
I got into them as much as I can. And when you look at the overall incident response, last calendar year, there were 1,211. Community carried out 120 of those 1,200. So just about 10%. Which to me seemed, not that everything's perfect and every department should hit exactly 20%, 25 to 100. Doesn't have to work that way, but communities covering the largest geographical area, and densely populated area, one would think that would be closer to 20, if not above 20. So I was a little bit, say, surprised that the data didn't seem to add up appropriately. And then when I looked at calls attended, file showing calls attended, and there was a total of 348 calls attended in Q4. Talking about a 3-month period, last 3 months of calendar year 21. 348 calls attended by various members, volunteer members, and 28 of them were about 8%. Yeah, just the numbers weren't seem to work on. Then I looked a little deeper into the apparatus. This was a log of every time an apparatus left the station. No matter which type of apparatus, but it left the station for a call. There were 2,041 times last calendar year that an apparatus left one of our fire stations. 134 of them left that community. 6.5%,
This is 21.
calendar 21. Again, far below the average of 20, so. One more. It was the data that Amy shared, which was the EMS responses, which I think we know why that was. So that was 2 out of 528. I don't know if that's worth really digging into that deeper because we know what happened. So my question, if Chief Sharp could come up again, it doesn't need to be perfect. You know, I'm not looking at 520s and everybody's got to do 20%. But if we're talking about a much larger geographical area, wish I had the district maps so I could visually see that area. It's the largest, is what you said last. I think being in the town all these years, it's pretty densely populated. So you also have a lot more opportunity for things to go wrong. So with those numbers are, you know, I was looking 6.5 to 10% for those metrics that I just described. Do you have any color to?
Nobody can tell them 911 call. Any one district has a very slow quarter, very slow year because there are no emergency calls coming in from that district. How do you tell them that they must respond to something that isn't there?
Well, no, we're not suggesting that you just go respond to a bunch of things to get up to 20%. The data's a little perplexing.
Well, we sort of expect 20% or some, maybe even bigger number because of the population. So, and you're right, if you only took a week or something, it would be not picking up pace, but this is.
Most of this
a
is a year. One of them was a quarter. This is
1 year.
most of what I described was a full year of 21.
What you have to do is go back on 1 year. Get a better handle on it. You know, you're not gonna get 3 people in 1 year, 6 people or 10 people. Could be a year, then you're gonna get 20 or 30. So you got, you gotta go, you can't take next year or last year, and that could have been a shorter year for this year. Okay, you follow what I'm saying? Yeah, so you have to go back, see what the average is, if we're gonna do this.
Yes, that's
I've
right.
been here for, when I was living in Putnam, and I never had a problem. As a cop, these people, no matter where, would be there. So what I'm saying, if you're gonna use this, you gotta be very careful. It's gonna be this area 1 year, could have 10 fires up on the west side. Here, less fires. Are they gonna go there? You count that? If you have to go and help someone else, is that counted
I don't know.
in
if that's
here?
I don't know if it's in this.
Yeah,
You guys understand what I mean?
yeah, it's in this data. It's counted.
Yeah.
I just have another concern with that too. You know, they had the ambulance and they had the fire department. So, you know, when something got called out, I don't know if it was always the ambulance that went out, or it was also, you know, who made the determination of whether the ambulance went out or the fire department. We're 2 separate entities. So I always want to go a little confusion thinking that the data is accurate because the 2 are 2 separate entities and now they're one. Now the ambulance doesn't exist. And now the fire department does exist. So that's one concern of mine. Then the other concern of mine is that we all know these mills and the larger apartment buildings are in communities district. So I don't like the idea of underfunding community when you know they have, you know, behind the library and the larger buildings, no matter how you look at it, they do have the larger buildings. And the other concern I have is animosity between departments. We're gonna underfund one, we're kind of picking and choosing which ones we favor. We all know that all of them basically never have enough money. I mean, that's just the reality. Some of them do more fundraising and do make more money, like I don't want to pick and choose, but we know East Thompson has a speedway, so they make more money there. That doesn't mean that's negative. that's a positive. I don't want to sound like, that's a bad thing, so they should get less money, because they're working harder to get that money in some ways. And people from community and other fire departments, I'm sure volunteer at the Speedway also, along with them. So I just want to, I don't want to have a divide.
Great points. And to be clear, I didn't bring up the data to say, oh, these numbers we should use for our split calculation. I was just trying to understand, when you have a big influx of data, what does it mean? What is it telling us? I actually, outside of my comments on the data, just overall, I don't think we should be in a position putting up a really hard position to be in. And I think, the concept of we would put aside, or we would allocate X amount of dollars. I'd support that approach more than A for this one, B for this one, C for this one, D for that one.
Well,
Just here's the X amount.
That's absolutely why they had the fire advisory committee. We were at one point, they were gonna have it like Woodstock, and we've had all these discussions where we were gonna hand them a pot of money and they were gonna divide it amongst themselves. So but we're not in that position right now. And I didn't say that you're better with data than I am, so I fully understand that. I didn't say that to be negative towards that. I just wanted to have my point get across that they were two separate entities. So the data can't be right.
If I may interject, also asking on that statistical report, also keep into mind that Thompson Hill and East Thompson have dual responses during the day. So those numbers, individual departments, that calls per, which means that there's a single number, run number generated with two departments during the day for Thompson Hill and Thompson. And kudos to them, they do a dual response. I want to make sure that those numbers reflect individual departments, individual calls. That's the only thing I'd like to also make sure that that number is also. Again, like most of us, we are, like every other volunteer, everybody has tough times during the day. Some of our run cards, or our, what we call a run card, we do have dual responses to get personnel. 36 years that I've been a volunteer for this town, I've never had such a good response to the chief, how we all work together. We're here for the common good of the town. Period. You get up in the middle of the night, answer the call, nothing. To try to say that because the ambulance and community fire company didn't have an R1, that you're cutting the fire side or not increasing the budget on the fire side 10,000 like the other departments. This town always wanted it separated. For the 8 years that I've been chief of this department, I've always separated the budgets between the fire and the ambulance. So to put that and say that that's the reason why we're not getting extra funding on the fire side, it's a hard time swallowing it. I just want to let that.
So I noticed up on the screen, they're broken out, right? Thompson Hill, VHFD, Thompson Hill.
That was
Thompson.
the requests that were made.
Those are the requests that were made.
Those are
Okay.
the requests that
I
were
didn't
made.
know if that's what was built into the 650.
No,
Okay. And so does that mean in the 615, does that mean the four, at least the way it is right now, the four companies have the same and then the fifth one, the community has less than the other four?
correct.
Got it. Because I wanted to make sure if it was built into the 16 with those numbers in the center column, it would look like we're giving different amounts to different companies anyway. But that's not true. That's just.
Correct.
Okay.
I'd like to say that they should get the same amount as everybody else, not take it away from them. And I'm not sure why that they took it out of here. Maybe because of the way the ambulance all went down, but again, it wasn't their call. These people left all together on that one day, 13, nobody else left. Let's be right about this. because of whatever there is, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, what did they do that you're gonna take some money? How do you know this year they're not gonna have more fires than the next guy up the road? The next year it's somebody else. Let's be fair to all of them, like we have been. And not take anything away. And I'm not afraid to say this. Has to do with the bunch of girls or whatever it was, boys, girls that left. There's no doubt in my mind, okay? I asked me to come on this, that was one of the things I said, that's wrong. You're using something that they didn't have anything to do with. When they left, they had nobody. How many here have used the ambulance? Here, right, or it's just us. You use the ambulance? Have you used the ambulance? You have. I have. I have over the years. My wife died, they were there before. My son was, they were there. Things happened on my street, they were there. And, you know, I feel bad that they don't have an ambulance here, because it's costing us more money. Right? I'd like to see it come back. That would, like, if they came back, and were able to do it, we won't be paying that much money to somebody. I have an idea, I'm not stupid. If I were to ask me to investigate it, I'd come back and say, this is how it happened. Okay, there's a person there that started it, and then it went big. It had nothing to do with it. I think we gotta treat everybody fair,
I have to agree with this. This should not be some sort of punishment. Totally wrong.
but it comes out that way. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
I'm
to
not,
everybody.
I should not be. Definitely should
That's
not.
right.
from you. I just want to add a little bit more to that. And the realism of this whole thing is that if somebody's gonna get up in the middle of the night, I don't care what department it is, I don't care what section of town you live in, we should be thankful for that person that gets up in the middle of the night, and takes care of us. I don't care if you're in East Thompson, West Thompson, Thompson Hill, West Thompson, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you're in Putnam. Somebody gets up in the middle of the night from Thompson to go mutual aid to Putnam, doesn't matter. Point of the whole thing is getting the people of the town served and getting them the help they need when they need it. That's it. That's the whole point of the whole fire department. I mean, there's a lot of people in this town that only really use minimal town services. We get our roads maintained, we use the schools, and we expect to have service when we need something. Our house is burning, our neighbor needs help. I mean, not a cat in a tree, I mean, but even that, you know, people come and help, whatever needs to be done. You know, we have a storm, there's a tree across the road, neighbors come out. Fire department's no different than your neighbor coming out and cutting a tree up the driveway. Really no different. The only difference is that they need the funding, because they need the equipment to do the job. That's, most of the money just goes to the equipment that they need. We all know this, you know, to just stay with the state regulations and keep them updated. It's almost impossible. That's how I see it.
My thing is to give them back that money. And if you went out, talk to people who in this town that used those people, they say the thing, same thing. And I'll be very, very frank with everybody. This started when those kids left. I call them kids because they obviously they're not old enough to do the right thing. That's when it started. Then one person here, one person there. I'm not gonna say who they are. Well, no, I will. Not afraid. Not a guy that says, hey, I'm gonna whisper something. I'm not. Never was, never will be. I've always been successful, but I don't believe me. Just ask. I treat my own business. You gotta be fair, especially for the people that we need if something happens. God,
we've done this in the past, Robbie. We've done this in the past. We've had fire departments reduce their budgets, to help another department pass. You know, to give another department more money. They work together, without a doubt. So we can either give them the money back, or we can reduce the other departments to make it all an even. Those are the ways I see this.
Take a look. Winterbog has a beautiful place.
They work for it.
They worked for it. But when they went to get the money from the government, right, it was available, but what they did is they took their area and actually came into this area, to get the money from the,
I just know that
Been that way for long.
my frame of mind is that
but they got it.
we either agree,
And I wish we had that all the way around.
we either fund community or we even the departments up by taking the difference of the money out of the other department. I don't like saying that. I don't like to take away from anyone. That's how I personally feel how this is.
Especially, I mean, they're like cops. They're here for your protection. If you're not gonna give them the money or take it away from them for whatever reason, then there's something wrong. You're not taking care of the people in this town. You do that.
What's the next right now? I just want to write down so I know, what do the four have and what does one have, at least in the budget?
Okay, so Thompson Hill Fire Department, East Thompson Fire Department, West Thompson Fire Department, and Quinnebog. You want the breakdown with 75,000?
So it's 75 for the four,
Yes,
and then is it what, 65 for the one?
correct. Flat funding.
Well, is the 75 for the four flat funded from FY?
No, it's $10,000 more.
Got it. So 65 is what each of the companies got for
Last
this
year.
current fiscal year 22.
Correct.
Got it.
Look at the answer. How difficult is it to live for a prior year? That's not a lot of effort.
No.
It's just a report you can pull out for.
Yep.
Look at the report, because some of the question has been.
Which
is it
prior year
just
do you
this year
want?
kind of thing? Oh,
I can go back
I
to
don't-
17.
65, 55, 48.
Oh, okay, thank you.
65 live this year.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
true. Yeah, we got the budget book.
The real question is
I'm sorry,
about
those are numbers of incidents.
$65,000 per station.
Oh, no, I'm thinking more of the incident. Whether
Oh,
we had
those.
Sorry.
Mr. Sine is in the audience. James, are you in the audience, and can you answer Mr. Herbert's question about how easy is it to go, how far back can you go?
Well, at least 1 or 2 years back, but some of the question has been, hey, this is just an unusual year perhaps.
I can go back to since we started using the new emergency reporting data and do a statistic. I think we started in 2019, so I think I can get 2 full years of data. Is probably the best I could do.
Just in case this is a very weird year.
Yeah, we're
The percentage of calls, I'm not, incidents calls, I'm never sure of exactly what I'm referring to here. Is that consistent over the years, or was last year just an anomaly?
So the data, what's confusing about it is when it shows the difference in EMS calls is the reason why is for the fire departments, when there was a medical call, the fire department would go and the ambulance would go with them. So the fire department would generate a call through the emergency reporting, and then the ambulance would generate a call through their software, which I think they used EMS charts. So all the calls that were in the community fire district, they just had the 2 people on the ambulance handle the calls, and the fire department didn't respond to assist the ambulance. So there was no incidents generated on the emergency reporting side for the fire department, because all those incidents within community district were reported through the EMS charts. So somebody within the fire department would have to get those statistics on how many emergency medical calls that were in community's district from the time frame of January 1st until the ambulance stopped operating. And then that would give a better depiction on how many actual calls were in their district EMS wise.
That'd be helpful, maybe. Oh, you know,
I'm only shaking no because
I don't want to create a lot of data that doesn't help us. And you're the one who's really close to it.
think, well,
I don't
I think
think
no, that's fine. I think that the question is, you know, about leveling the funding for everyone. We're technically, I know you're going about taking it away. We're not, no, it wasn't actually taken away, it wasn't increased. Still the same problem.
Same thing.
I understand, but, you know, it wasn't like, you know, it was pulled out. The question is, do we feel that that's an appropriate way to go forward, or do we feel that they should all be at the exact same, whatever that level may be, which was rough, right? It could take the 10 and divide it out, or you could pull community up by 10. I don't know if another round of data is going to change how we answer that question.
Some of the justification was that the incidents were much lower there, therefore, hey, perhaps the needs a little lower. So maybe that's why.
Maybe Amy can help shed some light on this. The way I understood it was that the way it's working now is four fire departments, not community, but the other four fire departments also have emergency medical services responsibilities. They're fulfilling the fire needs and this other requirement that they're doing. Community is fulfilling the fire need, but not medical. Part of the whole thing of the history, you're right, there's a whole history to how it happened, when it happened, who's, I don't know if that's gonna keep. Parking all that aside, just looking right now from moving forward, the services that are provided, those groups are doing it. Looks, that's why I'm asking Amy, maybe shed some light on it. I'm reading this correctly and I'm seeing it correctly. They're not all providing the same level and type of service. All 5 of them are providing fire response. 4 out of the 5 are providing medical response. So there
That's
is a
also
little.
changing. Because Sean just told us that they're gonna have their R1 certification from the state by March 28th, 10 days from.
And then at
So
that point,
Then
they're all.
they're gonna be, so I mean, we're funding next year, we're not,
So,
just wanna make my point.
yep. And Amy, was that taken into consideration when?
At the time, we didn't know how long it was going to be. This has been in process for quite a few months. OEMS doesn't move very fast. Yeah, so.
So to the point of that discussion, budget season goes further than April 1st. So whatever we do tonight, we can always revisit this before this thing goes out. The point being, are we really getting an apple and an apple and an apple and an apple from all 5? Or are we getting 4 apples and 1 orange, right? We'll know for sure by the end of this month that license authorization for R1 is going to come across. Then we'll know for sure that in FY23, we're getting 5 apples. Because you said by the end of March.
If I may, the application process was started in late October. It is a very compiled application process. As Ms. St. Ange said, it is through the state, takes forever. Just so that you're aware, the initial application went in to Connecticut OEMS, or the Office of Emergency Medical Services in Hartford. From there, it has to go, which is already gone. It has been approved by the Office of Emergency Medical Services. It then goes to the Eastern Connecticut Emergency Medical Services Council, where they review the application. They're in Mystic. Seems kind of a roundabout. Again, this is completely state of Connecticut in your hands. I did get a correspondence as of March 16th that clearly outlines to Judy Reynolds, who's our Region 4 coordinator, that after reviewing the above application with the Eastern EMS Council Board of Directors, I wish to submit our full support for the PSA assignment of first responders to the Community Fire Company as outlined in their application. We wish Community Fire Company well as they continue to provide care to the residents of their community. I did get an email correspondence again from Ms. Reynolds from OEMS. The Eastern Connecticut EMS Regional Council letter recommending approval of the Community Fire Company first responder PSA application 22-009 has been received. Copy is attached to your file. Projected date for approval is March 28, 2022. Renee Pallotta, who is the supervisor for OEMS for all the regions, will be issuing the certificate. Please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. So it is a very comprehensive application that I had to work on for many, many, many hours and get an incredible amount of information, both from our dispatch center, from our local emergency hospital. We had to get sign off from Dr. Wexler, who's the medical director at Dave Kimball. It's not an easy process, but it's done. 50 pages, and we do have full correspondence. At the very latest, March 28th, we will have that license. Just for your information.
Okay, I think what we should do, yeah, do it now. Put that money back equal for all five. And not take out this, $10,000.
Sort of following up with what Rob Mann was saying. He said either we bump it up or we just do a reshuffle. If we do a reshuffle, that would mean 73 for each company. And so that means we wouldn't be increasing the 615. You know what I mean? We wouldn't be adding.
Total amount is the same,
We wouldn't be
just
adding-
allocated
we wouldn't be adding
differently.
to the requested mill rate. We would basically just reshuffle the cards so that everybody gets. That's
Same.
the other way that, right? That's the other way that you would see. If we were to reshuffle and stay within the 615, that means all five get 73,000. Each one gets 73,000.
Same way if our one is not granted.
We can always modify it then, if we don't get it. If we choose to.
It's not granted.
It's not, we're still in budget season, we can always go back. Change the picture.
Do you table the whole topic and bring it up?
I think we should level fund it now. But it can change, we can always change.
I only asked that
Are
because I think,
you worried that they won't get it?
no,
Because
I'm
he's
not necessarily
saying
worried
that
that they don't get it. I think the selectmen made a proposal based on facts and data at the time. Change to that, make sure that we have a strong rationale. Well, after, I feel better about saying, having a rationale and a reason why. We're all providing the same service.
The members are still responding, they're still gonna need the funding for equipment and everything. That doesn't change. That's how I feel.
That's why I studied the data. I think skewing the data.
No, I get it, I understand.
That's why I
Fully
always called it.
understand. I'm not arguing.
So once they have their R1, I bet we look at this data in future year, I bet it's more balanced.
I agree.
No, that's my only reason is that I want to be sure that that's.
Right. I think just what he said, get it now. I'll look at it again later. But I don't want, I don't want to give it to him tonight and take it back from him tomorrow. Right?
Well, if that's the case, it would argue for waiting a couple weeks till we get confirmation. Sounds like it's pretty much automatic, but you know, I guess if it was automatic, it would already be done, right?
One other piece of data that is not related specifically to the five departments, but related to this whole $878,000. Amy, you had 250 in for the emergency medical services.
Correct. But we
And,
know
and that number's actually 250,
259.
it's actually 259. Close to 10,000 we're talking about, so just as another data point to consider in the whole department, we have another 9,000.
Yeah, we weren't really discussing adding 10,000, I think we were more discussing level funding them right now. But yes, I
Meaning
understand.
That still
do a
adds-
reshuffle.
That
Yeah, I
means nine
understand.
more, you're saying. As is.
I do
nine
understand,
more.
you said that.
So meaning that it's actually not 615, it should be 624.
That's correct. I also want to stress or repoint that while that says Putnam EMS, that's not the town of Putnam. That's the EMS EMS service that's called Putnam EMS.
You know, I have a discussion, we have the ambulance a little bit. How did that work? The ambulances were given to Putnam for service?
They're going to
time?
be purchasing,
They are
from the town.
purchasing them?
and it
Okay,
will be credited to that over 5 years.
okay. One. So we credit the services over 5 years?
To whatever our town contribution is. It was 5 years, right?
Yeah, it was 5 years, but I think, let's share the hard data as we know right now. Three ambulances that were purchased by the town, $68,000. Total, three. That money was sent to community. We took title of the ambulances as a town. Now, in the agreement with Putnam EMS, group now, is a collaboration of the two towns.
Yeah,
We need
right,
more,
right.
we need more ambulances to do the
Sure.
job.
Understood.
And what better place to go to get the ambulances, but we own three.
We already have, yeah.
So 259, part of the yearly contribution is higher than 259.
Oh, it's a share.
So I want to be clear, I want to be really.
That's what I wanted.
Part of that is offset by a payment of an asset. So it's still,
Over 5 years.
it's still a contribution by the town. It's just not in the form of cash. It's in the form of an asset that has value. And now I'm drawing a blank, 80,000?
Yeah.
Thank you, because that's exactly
Yes.
what I
Yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to
yeah.
hear. I
Over
wanted to
5
understand
years.
that.
I'm sorry, we paid community 168,000 for the ambulances, and we got credit for 80. I'm sorry.
168,000.
Yeah.
Call it one near new, one about mid-age, and one old one.
Right,
I'll get into all of
right.
them.
Yeah, gotcha.
The one newest one is what's being proposed to go to
That's what they
Putnam
want,
EMS
okay.
for $80,000. They're gonna want the second one too, the middle one. They're gonna need another one, but there's a timing, much like Chief Sharp talked about, that whole process, just to get these ambulances in services, would be a headache to go on what they have to do.
Gotcha.
The license.
For the stage.
So the first one would go in to this year while we're talking about, be a $20,000. The same $20,000 of value, let's say, for the 5 years. The second one, I don't know, might be, this one
So
was
it's like 80.
not gonna be 80, it's probably not gonna be 40, but maybe it's 30 to 40-ish. And then the third one, the town would likely just liquidate on a sale.
Doesn't mean- that's a stupid question, comment. We paid 168 the community, and their really value that we're gonna get for these is 120 maybe? I'm guessing at the other two, what they're worth. Maybe the two of them are worth an additional 40.
The
Maybe that's high, I don't know.
168, there was a slight increase because we had to also purchase the, oh gosh, forgive me, I can't think of the name of it. The Lucas tool for chest compression. So we would charge that at an additional, I believe, 10,000.
So it was 178 or?
It should have been 158,
158,
and we
but
paid,
that-
but they
that-
asked if we wanted the Lucas tool, which is an important piece, that it was gonna be another
But,
10,000.
but the equipment we paid was $168,000.
Correct.
to the community. And it was, it sounds like its value is pretty substantially lower than that. Only 3/4. Am I understanding that correct? So community kind of won. They'd sold them, they wouldn't have gotten 168. I'm guessing, I mean, I don't know, did we give the new EMS a special deal? I mean, the new ambulance service a special deal, or that was quote fair value? Like, farewell that transaction. And the community did well.
The new
Good for
ambulance
them.
service might have looked at what it took that value into consideration, put those into service and what it cost them for the permitting, I know, registration, all the things they would have had to normally do. They might have put that into the, tried to given us less because they were trying to balance out those costs. I don't know. This is just something I'm just thinking in my head, to get those ambulances certified might have cost also. I don't know.
That may be,
I
but
don't
the
know.
value, the value we got was
I understand.
168 that I were getting is 120. Doesn't sound right.
And then,
Again, I don't, well, not to punish anybody, but wow, that was a point.
and the other thing, right now, we're just contracting with them right now, correct?
No.
We're partnership.
Right now, it's in today.
Right now, as in today,
We're
we're
not doing
just,
anything with it.
We're not doing anything
We're
yet.
trying to set up.
Okay, that's what I was trying to understand. So we're in process of trying to negotiate, collaboration.
Correct, where the anticipated date to switch over to start to stop the bleeding that we're currently experiencing by utilizing KB on this temporary basis is we will be entering into a contract temporarily until July 1, when we should be able to, once all of the OEMS stuff is set, we should be able to enter into a final agreement on July 1 to move forward. But we'll start initially, and it'll reduce our costs roughly by $15,000 a month. So,
And it's a bit of a separate issue than,
right,
This is even separate than our original discussion. I wanted to put it all on the table now,
Right.
so that we all know, we're seeing the whole.
Didn't the town contribute a fair amount of money to buy those ambulances when it came up? Originally, I remember paying $75,000. I'm sure that wasn't the total cost, but it was chunk, I remember, something like that, number like that. Again, that clearly wasn't the total cost, but half maybe or something.
Question is, do we want to make any motions or do anything with, level funding now, or do we want to wait?
I'd like to think on it, but if we want to make it vote, I'll.
And if, say a question on this. So that means after the 5 years, then the annual cost of that ambulance service goes up by the amount that's no longer being credited? And how much is the credit per year? 80? So all things being equal, would go up. That's without any cost or inflation. Go ahead. Amy.
I just had a question, Mr. Chair, about different items like, okay, well, we now know that Putnam EMS that we're going to be at around 259 versus the 250 we had anticipated. Additionally, I know we had talked in the last meeting about the upgrades to Munis. I did get the final number. It's 19,176. Orla had only had 19,000 in. How do you want to make those types of adjustments that aren't really, that we don't really have control over it? Would it still have to be a motion by the board to make those changes to the Board of Selectmen propose? I just don't want to-
More, is that what you're saying?
$176.84.
Safety's sake, I would just go ahead and make a motion on the board of finance.
Okay, so I'll just keep track of, I just
Yeah.
don't want anything to be slipped through the cracks
That's
and be
right.
forgotten.
That would be great if you or Dottie can just keep track.
Mhm.
And then when we get down to the end, to say, okay, so here's all these sort of little nickels and dimes that we need to move around in order to make adjustments.
Right.
This one, this one, this one, this one. And then we can make a motion. for it all.
Right.
I mean, $9,000 isn't exactly a nickel or a dime, but you get my drift on the Munis thing.
I brought everything.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to add that I was pretty close to it. I went to all the meetings and supported Amy. They actually thought it was going to be closer to, they proposed 300,000 per town. Make sure that it was the same per town. Don't know who's going to have the need the most. They're a smaller geography, what bigger geography they have. Pages and probably, it would be a nightmare, I think, to do an of sorts. Then you have a forever. So, but we did, it's not a contract, it's gonna be a partnership. Agreement, a formal agreement, so we'll have seats on the board, we'll have transparency. Even to the degree that Amy and Jamie and I looked at the budget, looked at the, oh, hang on. Got depreciation in here, that's a non-cash event, you're paying rent to the town of Putnam for the building. Not rent in our building, so either pay us or take it away, right? Or you get,
Sure.
I don't remember the other line items, but we went through all the line items, and they kind of looped back and said, there should be about 279. So it was a little bit of a hard fought battle to get there. And then the other thing, when you're starting something, not that they're starting new, but they are adding shifts and they're starting a new venture into multiple towns. A lot of unknowns. I still feel that there may be a little bit of padding of sorts. I mean, pressed it as hard as we can, but I think there's a fear of the unknown. Will the buildings come in? Will they capture all the calls? They're gonna get the revenue side right. What else on the cost side might be missed? So this time next year, we should have a much better handle on it. And then we'd carry that $20,000 credit or payment in asset over the next 4 years. Also, clauses that give a very long runway. Renewal clause, that's a 1 year renewal, it's a 5-year agreement, it's a 1 year,
Oh, at the end of the 5 years.
in the 4th year. It has to be declared, otherwise it automatically renews for another 5 years.
Oh, otherwise it
It gives us a
five.
year,
It's a year to get ready for a breakup.
and if there's reasons for cause, like we're not paying, then the transition period is 180 days. So it's a half a year. At least it's something. We don't have to just call KB tomorrow and we have some. I'm not getting all the details of it, but I think it's a good deal for the town. It's definitely more than where we were before, but it's a lot less than where we are.
Did they change their name to Putnam Thompson?
That's
That
gonna,
would be
we're going
helpful.
to do that in year 2. We're
Oh,
gonna do that in year
okay,
two.
good.
That's a whole
Seems
nother bunch of
appropriate.
paperwork and.
Seems appropriate.
I don't know if they're gonna go Putnam Thompson, they might go northeast.
Oh, sure, whatever, yeah.
Because Woodstock might join.
Because it sounds like it's, it's not ours. kind of
The
thing,
regional
yeah.
theme is happening across the state.
Sure.
And I'm sure there's savings with insurances and things like that when you're multiple towns. There has to be some kind of savings.
Some leverage.
That's gonna be.
Two facilities, there'll be one in Thompson and one in Putnam. Facility in each town. Our facility is the new, well, right now it's temporary, but it'll be a new facility.
Correct. Hoping to break ground summer. Like,
Or being, you mean at our front?
Deer in Kevin's backyard. Can you see the eyes?
it's proposed to be located at the Public Works facility. Closer to the road, so it's not into where all the buses are and the construction work. So yeah,
So getting rid of 2 of the 3. Right now.
They're already gone.
They're already gone.
They're
All
already-
3 are gone?
Three
what?
ambulances? No, we're gonna,
Taking 2.
two, one now in the coming months, and then one sometime late in the year, probably next year.
We purchased 3 from community. We're giving them 1 now for a credit for 20,000 for 5 years. Per year.
That doesn't work out.
no, that doesn't work. I thought
That's
it was 15.
$100,000.
Well, I thought you said
80,000.
20,000. No,
I did say 20.
All right, I thought you
So
said.
back to my 20.
Sorry. I did the same thing.
16.
16,000.
That's a better number. None of us can do math.
So the third, I'll call it the third one. What's gonna happen with the third?
So the third one, the discussion was it's not gonna be needed and the town would look to sell it.
Let me ask you this, and it's an old, it runs all right? I mean, does it run? Is it safe?
They checked it out. They went.
I believe that one did not have the power lift assist,
Okay.
which is sort of a
Requirement.
nightmare.
Problem.
No, I don't know if it's a requirement, but it is a nightmare.
Days when there are no powerless. So it's an operating vehicle, isn't it? Yes.
Looking for a truck for himself. I mean, a truck, we buy a truck so that he can go wherever he has to go. For,
Well, the fire marshal.
fire marshal, right? I'm saying if it's a good one, right, you'd have to look at it, I'm sure. That would be an ideal because it's large enough to have, put everything you want in the back, okay? So if he has to go to a fire, it's there, all his equipment is there. Or you can go to get a new one, whatever they want, but I just take a look at that. It can be used, given to them. Of course, he's gonna have to, I'm not doing it and he says he doesn't want it. That's fine with me if they don't want it. But it's big enough to carry, just like they do in any other town. You go to the bigger towns, they have big trucks with everything in it. Okay, he doesn't have to worry about it. But I'm just saying, something to think about. And, See if it'll work.
The only caution, I'm sorry, may I speak? Mr. Chairman? The only caution that I would give is that I think in the fire marshal's description of the truck he needed, he does sometimes have to go off-road. I don't know that the ambulance is four-wheel drive. So that would be the only thing that I would say he had requested that as a need, I believe, unless I'm incorrect. And James, if you're still in the meeting, you can correct me.
Sorry about that. I said,
I remember last time.
oh, can you hear me? I'm still here.
We can hear you. Did you hear the question?
Yeah, and so a couple factors is, yes, we do have fires off-road and vehicle fires that are down in places that it only takes a pickup truck to get to. The other thing is I need my equipment on a daily basis to do inspections. There's a lot of equipment that I use to go. So, going from one end of town on a daily basis back and forth is probably not a practical to drive an ambulance throughout town on a daily basis. And the other thing is the ambulances have an open passageway. There's a door, but the ventilation system. So if I put all my equipment in the back, they're getting away from having an open area or like an Explorer or an SUV, because all your gear is still within your vehicle that you could be breathing in those toxins as opposed to being in an isolated area like the bed of a truck.
Thank you for that explanation.
Thank you.
It's a thought.
I like the creativity, though. That was a good thought. I like that.
And yeah, towns do have vehicles that they bring to fire scenes. But what happens is on a normal day-to-day basis, they have their normal fire marshal vehicle that they do all their normal stuff. And then when you have the larger scenes, that's when they bring the vans in to give you more room to do a lot more stuff.
So, just so we know, everybody's even.
We haven't done it. You want to make a motion? Make a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Pardon me?
I bring up one other topic about evenness, and that is, as it relates to the storage of our ambulance today. The last, how many months, 6, 8 months, since we've been with KB, they've been using Thompson Hill Fire Station as their home base. Some discussion about whether it was appropriate or not to compensate. Now, what they suggested in our meetings, because Putnam EMS is paying the town of Putnam, they said, you for rent, and then just balance it out, which is just us giving them money and they give it to us back. It didn't make county sense. So we said, no, just take it out. Don't pay Putnam, don't pay us. We'll take that up on our own. So that's just another, we need to pile on.
Is there a value to that use?
Well, I think I mean, if they didn't offer it and we had to go find a place.
No, you took that wrong. I didn't mean, is there a value to that use? I said, what is the
Yeah,
value?
I'm
to
trying
that
to
use?
get to that. I was trying to get to like, it would be probably a fair market rental value. Yeah. That'd be appropriate, but that would put us at an unevenness if we were to do something for them, compensate them for using their house,
That would be short term too.
build new places, build.
I'm not, that sounds.
Short term could be a
That sounds
year
fair.
or a year and a half.
That's even if we don't go retro for the last 8 months and the rest of this year. I'm talking about, just doing something.
So what you're saying is, put it up there. Is that where it is?
It is
It is
now.
there now. It's going to continue there until our new building's done. So it would be an interim, it would be a short term.
He just wants to, I don't want to use the word reward. He wants to, give them back, possibly money that they've lost by, having that use there, the electricity. I'm sure the heat's been on more. These people are there, waiting for a call.
Had they not offered it.
What does it cost to rent a garage every month to store your car in? I mean, you just think about that, cheapest you probably get one is $1.25, $150 a month. But you don't, you can't work on your car there. And you have to look at, I'm just trying to look at value,
We had actually, prior to Thompson Hill stepping forward and offering a bay, and granted this was a 2-bay space, we had actually looked at a space and it was going to cost us $2,500 a month. And I'm not recommending that, but I certainly don't want us to overstay
I
our
was
welcome.
thinking 1,500, 2,000 a month sounds like a fair, fair amount.
And it's one
Takes it
bay.
over. Now you're gonna have to give them, they're gonna have to have a place for them, right? Gonna be the same place? Or is it gonna be moved?
It's a
Can
new
they go
facility.
wherever they want?
It's a new facility they'll be providing.
Well, at that time, right? That's not gonna happen tomorrow. or
Right,
Next
of
year,
course.
or next year.
Right.
Now it'll continue at Thompson Hill Fire Department. Continue where it's been.
So what happens then? Are they gonna get extra money for that, or is that all, that, does Putnam have to do it? In other words, they're gonna park their, car up there, right? And you're gonna, right now, we'll give them something for it being there. That's, killing. We're gonna do the same thing with Putnam.
Not giving anything to Killingly to keep their ambulance there.
Okay.
They're keeping their ambulance at Thompson Hill Fire Department for free right now.
All right.
Nobody's costing Thompson Hill Fire Department. They haven't asked for anything. It's probably costing them something to keep it there. From today till whenever the new building is, we'll switch out KB if this goes forward, which is trending, it's a high probability this is gonna happen. But EMS will now be providing those services and have an ambulance and it'll be in the same spot. It won't say KB ambulance on it, it'll say Putnam ambulance, it'll be in the same spot.
He's just looking at some kind of stipend, I'll use that word, to give community ambulance, Thompson Hill Fire Department, confused here. Because they've been housing the ambulance there, and they volunteered to do that. Wasn't something that, they were made to do or forced to do. They volunteered to do that, but it does come with a cost to them, whether it be a piece of their equipment's probably outside or somewhere else too, I would
There's
imagine.
a piece of equipment at the Public Works
Yeah,
garage.
so they had to move a piece of equipment somewhere else. And, obviously, like I said, I'm sure the utility bills have gone up on the building. People there now, where normally there wasn't anybody, there sitting, waiting for a call. Because,
If you still want it there, who's gonna pay or give them any money?
that's what they're asking. They're asking if we should figure out an amount of money to give Thompson Hill Fire Department for what they've given up for the ambulance. That's basically it, in a nutshell.
Paid by us, not by Putnam. Once
Yes.
Putnam gets it.
No. KB ambulance is there now
Yeah, right.
and serving our town.
Yeah.
We're paying KB ambulance, but we're sheltering them
Right.
with a place to be.
So
Because
will that
obviously we
continue
want KB ambulance.
Once Putnam gets in?
It'll continue.
That's all gonna change.
And we're not paying for it now. Question is, should we do something now until our building is done?
We want to pick a number and
We're in a-
Amy had a quote of 2,500, you're thinking 15 to 2, maybe 2 is the right number per month. Just pick a number.
Just brought it up quickly as I didn't mean to interrupt your motion, Larry. It just agreed to level fund them and then everything's happened now.
Right, yeah.
If we agree to do it, we might be doing something different, so.
But that might be we could probably put that under another line item
Well,
also.
that's my next question. Where is that gonna show here?
I think it
Maybe we should put that under a different line item, so it doesn't look like we're funding the fire departments differently, actually have a line item that says, lease space or something, just so it doesn't look like we're not, level funding fire departments, but that's a separate purpose than the actual,
Just show exactly
EMS
what it
service.
is. Lease space at Thompson
Yeah.
Hill Fire.
Yeah, so maybe we should just put get a line item. So
Just to clarify, if that were to come,
All of them doing
that would
something.
be above and beyond, right?
Yes.
That would be new tax money.
Yes.
I might suggest to keep the total number the same. Add 9,000 to the EMS, and then the remaining amount divide by 5. equally fund them, but it will be amount somewhat lower than the 75. But it will be reduced by, fact that it's divided by 5 instead of by 4, and reduced by the 9,000.
Correctly. You take the 475s plus the 65. It's 365,000. You subtract the 9 and divide it by 4.
Because if you take the 75 and the 475s and the 165, you add them all together, and you just divide by 5, it gets you 73. But you're saying we also need to account for the 9. So then we would take 9, divide that by 5. And
So it's about
lop it off to
71,
whatever that-
71,250.
6,000
We'll
plus
just
higher.
call it a straight 71.
10% increase.
Yeah. Oh,
Love to do more, but,
It doesn't answer the question about, do we do something?
yeah, I understand we don't do that, but I think that's.
I'll
a
make a
separate
motion,
issue.
I'll make a motion that we level fund the departments at 7150, 7250, 71,250, which would even them across the board and take that 9,000 into
I
consideration.
just want to make sure we're doing. Somebody did make a motion, so that means there's a second. Okay, now there's discussion. Because if the motion goes, then you gotta see if the motion fails or if it carries.
Please check on that.
The second means that the motion still has.
I can either make another motion after this one, which would be to add the $9,000 to 250.
Oh,
You can amend your motion and tack it on. 'cause
Yeah,
it's all part
I'll
of the
amend
same
I'll
group.
amend my motion to add the 9,000.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Yeah,
clean it
that's
all
where
up.
the money was going.
Clean it all
The
up.
whole thing.
What do you mean add the-
Same thing you're doing.
So the EMS gets 259,000. And each fire department gets $71,250.
Just mine, just mine.
Just clean it. Track it.
Yeah.
Anybody else do the math?
sorry?
I'm about to do it.
Okay, I think you might be $250 over the 650.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. 200 instead of 250. Absolutely right. 3 times 5, that's what I did. Yeah, it should be 71,200.
I'm in my motion, 71,200.
So
we checked
the
it.
motion has been amended, 71,200. You want to amend your second? Because you seconded his motion. His first motion was 71,250. He just amended his motion. Are you willing to 71,200. Are you willing to amend your second? Yes. Any discussion on the motion?
21,200 to all
71,200 to each of the 5.
each of the 5. I like it better that way. As that later on, it's not adding the other. We don't have to be working for the same thing. Thank you.
My comment on discussion is that I'd like to see us move to a place where we agree on what we're funding. Another body, there's a governing body that brings in all the chiefs and all the stations. We're not in the business of going. I get why we're doing it fair, same, but world's not same. What they need is different. I'm sure if you get all the chiefs in the room, you look at it, hard to say that everybody's exactly the same. Just, I don't think that's our job.
I think,
To be
I think they-
deciding who gets more or less, so I like this.
I think they were very much moving towards that, when this whole COVID thing started and threw everybody off, and that's, because they were certainly having a lot of discussions and even a way to fund that money, separate from our revenue.
The one thing I would add as a comment is and this is, we're gonna revisit this if the, R1, sorry, isn't granted. We expect it to be, but if it is, we want to revisit.
Chuck.
No,
Okay.
No, but that gets the comment that I was gonna share with, and my preference. I would have had us wait until the R1 comes in and revisit this, because what we're doing now is we're deciding to go in a different direction on what the, well, granted, it was a split decision. But we're going in a different direction from what the Board of Selectmen had recommended, Rob Woods' point. And so if we wait until it comes in, then we'll know why, right? We know for sure why we're deciding to go into it. In fact, I mean, when they made that decision, it was based on not knowing what was happening. Okay, the R1 application is in, well, where is it? Well, it's in process. When's it gonna come through? Well, maybe they didn't know at the time. So they said, well, if we don't know then what's going on with that, then we're gonna basically say, you have 4 companies that are providing a certain service, and you got one that's providing a certain service minus one, right? Well, minus an R1, really. And so that's why they made their decision. And so now what we're doing, we're deciding to move in a different direction without the R1 being on the table. Now, we figure the R1 probably will be on the table before the end of the budget season. My preference would have been to just wait until the R1 is on the table, then we know for sure why we're doing it. But the motion's been made and been seconded, and so here we are. That was just my thought. If I had my preference, I would have done it that way, but here it is. It is what it is.
I think we leave it as it is. Okay? Because we're gonna have a lot of people on the edge, waiting for the last thing. We can always come back, take it out. Correct?
Meaning,
So
we should move forward
ease
with
the
the vote.
people that it, okay? Leave it like we did, what, okay, pass it. And then just what you said, if it shows that it didn't work, we can come back and then take it out or change it, whatever you like to do. Cause it, this is, more than I like.
No, just, we have to make sure we add that 9,000.
We can-
Separate
we
motion.
can follow up on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Just because this motion is about fire departments, and then 9,000 is about, EMS. So I just thought, rather than put them all together, it'd be really better, especially if we have to revisit this motion.
Right.
A lot easier to have this.
The motion is simply on the fire department allocation.
Right now, it's, what was it, 71, 200. 71, 200. Okay, go around the table, all right?
Yes?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, it's 135. So that means each of the 5 companies will get 71,200. So then I believe if somebody wants, go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we add an additional $9,000 to the Putnam EMS line, and to a total of $250,000.
So a motion has been made as $9,000. So Rob, Word says the motion. Steve has a second. That's a motion to add $9,000 to the Putnam EMS line, bringing it to a total of $259,000. Any discussion on that one?
I second it. Changes to the changes that we're making to what made it one file, so to speak, or no? But we were changing the changes we were making. No, that's, forget it. Okay.
No. We're talking about like, the sort of adjustments. that Amy was
$76
talking about.
and things like that,
Yeah. And so I guess, what Amy was mentioning were things that come to her attention as we go through the process that are sort of outside of what we were
Okay.
discussing. Just like the last meeting, we made a couple of bang, right? Because that was us. We decided to do it. And as we go along, just like in previous years, Orla would say, okay, here's how insurance looks, here's how oil and gas looks. And that would be information our way. Any other discussion on this motion? This is to add $9,000 to the. So we'll go around the table. Larry? Yes. Steve?
And yes.
George? Yes. I'll vote yes. That carries 5-0. So the Putnam EMS now has $259,000. Okay, so. I know we usually ask questions about things like, fire sirens, 911, that's going up by what, almost $2,000. Hydrants going up by 41, almost 4,200. And that's the usual stuff that we ask questions about. Sure. Yep, I'll go ahead and ask about hydrants. Is this something? that
Connecticut
just came out of
Water.
Service and the charges, it is what it is?
Yes.
Fire sirens?
For the 911, that's QV dispatch. That was the total that they sent in.
Let's get
This year.
Volunteer fire insurance,
We've been advised to increase our insurance by 10% at this point
by what?
by HD Seeger, our insurance agent. This insurance would be through VFIS, but he's saying across the board figure high. We should have the totals by late April.
So volunteer fire insurance, is that insure like individual firefighters?
It insures the buildings, the apparatus, and workers' comp should be included in this line, but I'd have to double check. Yeah, unless workers' comp is infringed, which I'd have to look.
Certainly, and we know it covers the buildings and the apparatus.
Correct.
Amy, workers' comp is infringed.
Okay, thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. So this was at the recommendation of our insurance rep saying, how you would bump this by taking a look at the existing stock that we have, that person said, how you would bump it by.
Mostly because of the market and the situation within insurance in general.
Question on volunteer fire?
Bid on that, and is it a time to do that?
HD Seeker usually goes out and does the work for us in the past and tries to find the best rate. But VFIS is one of the insurance companies that actually insure fire departments.
Just ask them to look at it. How many years have we been with them?
Okay. I can get that information. With HD Seeger or with,
I would-
Well, it's gonna be in the garage, yeah.
It's always a good idea,
Even if
especially
it's something, person who's planning bids for you. Doesn't mean that they're not doing a good job, it's just wise.
You can prove that they are, or find out that they're not.
I'm making a note of this.
Weird.
I asked if he's gonna go back and look. Last time we did it, I'll look. On the firefighters tax.
Yeah. We didn't get that yet, but, I think that's probably where next one.
Firefighters tax
Firefighters
refund
Tax refund
is
going to zero.
in the past, we used to issue checks for those, it was an incentive program for firefighters that hit a certain number of calls, meetings, et cetera. Last year, when we adjusted the ordinance, we adjusted it to a tax exemption versus an abatement. So they now currently, when they qualify, they get a reduction in their tax assessment. So it does not hit, there's no checks that will be issued. I'd have to get that from Paul. I can get that from Paul. It's already calculated into the grand list, okay, but I could get the total for you.
Supported it, it was the right thing to do.
Mhm.
Yeah, this money they were getting taxed on, literally paying tax.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Great.
So,
They
better
get,
program.
they get what, 1099? They would have to go on the federal income.
So it's not questioning what we
No.
did, it's just, you can
Right.
see now they're on the backside of it. What the impacts are.
Yeah, and I may have the list in my office, but know that some individuals might get the maximum exemption, but maybe they only have a car. So they don't have a house yet, so then they might not claim the full exemption that they're due because they don't have property.
As long as paramedic.
NECOG gives those estimates. Nothing had increased from last year.
The year before was 15,000.
Right. The estimate NECOG had given us was 26. I had typed in, but the history didn't support that number.
Okay, so we're choosing, because of this, the number that we feel is correct, as opposed to what we know.
Correct. Because the rates had not changed. You're welcome.
Your estimate, you know.
Find the card here. It's for the paramedic program, and the rest, I don't know. Oh, I can find out the number.
If you don't have it, we'll.
We can find out. Yeah. And you need the account ID?
Yeah.
Down there. A lot of lines. Almost there. Where we're at right now for this year. The number is 9901 202202. You need the last year. It's this number. You know, this number.
I don't want to waste time. We want to go on and come back. Right.
We'll work on finding it.
Yeah, I don't, I apologize. I don't
9901
wanna waste a lot of time.
2022.
Anything further here? Can we put a
The bottom,
placeholder?
522 52255.
Yeah. I mean, every
I'm
week,
saying Thompson.
Thompson Hill Fire.
Reimbursement for the park.
Reimbursement.
Basically, that rent.
I'd like to just put a placeholder. I know our end goal is to add to the proposed budgets,
But nevertheless.
but it's a real cost.
10,000. Year to date, oh God, you can read it.
Yeah, 10,119 with 8881.
About 10,000.
Yeah.
Where we're at.
And that's through February or?
Yeah.
Through today, basically.
That's through today, but the balance is encumbered, so it's gonna end up at that 19.
No,
No, nope, it's
not.
not.
Okay,
So that could
So
fluctuate.
that
Yeah.
seems like we'll end up this year at 15. The rates don't change. Why would, and last year was 15. Why would that say? Maybe 16.
Okay.
That's unreasonable.
the budget last year was 19.
Right, the budget was 19, but
That's
the year
what
before we only spent 15.
Right.
Year before that, 16. The rates aren't changing. We're gonna spend maybe 15 this year. Why wouldn't you not say 15? Or 16, just to be safe.
Well, the 10-1, to be accurate, is expended. There's also 8,800 encumbrances.
We're all 11, but still that makes this year about 15. Is that fair? Estimate?
Yeah, I just don't know what's in that encumbrance. What's in there. If it's an actual bill or,
I think I heard 8,800
yeah,
plus the 10-1 is 9,000, almost,
Oh, 80.
almost
Oh,
19,000.
yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry, 8,800. I was off the digit. Take it, you're up to 19.
but that encumbrance seems to be the balance of the
Oh,
budget.
okay.
So you know what I
That's
mean?
how they
It might,
do
it
it.
might
So
not
it's
be
just
on
an
an
encumbrance.
actual
So the 10
PO.
The 10-year date. is
Yeah.
really what-
Yeah, so I think that the data to go off of is we have the 10, we're through March, and we've got a couple of months left.
14 or 15. But I think
Mhm.
I'm finding something else.
So that would
I'm suggesting 68,000.
We're suggesting that we drop it one based
I'll
on,
make a motion.
based on previous action.
Previous and current year. experience.
You want to, so I think,
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we change the paramedic, sorry, paramedic ambulance to $16,000 per.
So there's a motion to, somebody want a second?
Oh, well, second.
All right, so Steve's got the motion, and Rob Ward does a second. That is a motion to reduce the paramedic ambulance within the fire department section. We're gonna reduce that from 19,000 down to 16,000. Any discussion on that? Discussion on that. Okay.
Too much, man.
So we'll go around the table. All right, how do you vote? Steve? Yeah.
Yes.
George? Yes. Oh, yes, this one carries 5-0. So then, I guess I'm sorry, I was confused because the lines on these pages are so long. I looked all the way across and the $1,800 increase is actually not in paramedic ambulance special contribution. It looks like it has something to do with software. Did we already discuss this one and I was sleeping, I missed it?
I don't believe,
Yeah.
but I believe this has to do with the software potentially. It shouldn't be under special contributions. That's something weird that's pulling over from Eunice. Let me just check. James, are you still in the meeting? Mr. Sinay?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Was there an increase in software for the reporting?
No, because I was looking at the budget and it showed a different price. It's the same price as it was last year, which is the
Okay.
60, well, you moved it on me.
Sorry,
whatever-
I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
didn't mean to do that.
whatever that 6831 was the price we paid for this current budget year for it, and there was no increase. So I'm not sure where that 5,000 number came from.
That's the 5,000? Do you think it was just misbudgeted last year?
Quite possibly, but I know the budget number hadn't changed this fiscal year for our current budget coming. There was no
So
increase.
For the reporting software, the cost annually is $6,831.
Correct.
And last year, it had been put in as 5,000. I'm going to guess that that was probably an error.
I would, but last year it was the same price as this current year coming up.
It just didn't get entered properly. I entered this one for you into this section, so. Thank you, Jamie.
You're welcome. And what that includes, for data management, we pay for the program, but we also pay for data transfer from the dispatch center for each fire department. So anytime there's an incident for the 5 fire departments, all the data right from the dispatch center's computer-aided dispatch equipment automatically downloads a lot of the information into our reporting system. So the fire departments, when they do their reports, a lot of the information is already in there for them, so they can just add the bits and pieces that they need to add to it. Makes things a lot easier for the volunteers and streamlines the time for them to do the data entry.
Great, thank you. Yeah, but see, the budget said 5,000. It was, we expended 6831 this year. It was entered into the
Okay.
budget wrong last
So
year.
That's why,
That was the budget, but it wasn't actual.
Yes,
so that's why you're putting in 6831 is because you know that. that was-
because Jamie I inputted Jamie's data and that's what I inputted into that line.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, that's what your burn rate was. Anything else for fire department? Emergency management, not much going on. Go ahead. Oh, okay. It is close to 9. I know we're looking at something called 30 ERJ at the LA. I don't know. Oh, did we split that with them? Is that how that works?
That is, provide a sort of a stipend to help support the security program at the school.
Right, because I see that we already have a 2020 actual and a 2021 actual. There's, oddly enough, there's nothing in the 22 original budget.
Yeah, I think when Orla pulled the information over, she added a new line item. I believe it was under a different section. But she tried to separate it out so it would have its own distinct line within this.
So that means this security staff at school,
Mhm.
it was a 2020 actual and a 2021 actual that lived somewhere else.
Yeah, I'd have to just search for it.
So I guess what sort of makes me scratch my head is then I say, well, wouldn't the 2022 original budget also have lived in that same place?
Mhm.
So wouldn't the number have come across instead of coming across as zero? Maybe that's a question that can't be answered now, and that's okay.
I can find out.
Because it's almost 9 o'clock and it's probably a good place to pause anyways. But maybe that's something to figure out is this really a $60,000 increase or is it not? Because,
Last year we paid 60,000. The Board of Education requested 75,000, or Melinda Smith, the superintendent, had requested 75,000, and the Board of Selectmen chose to keep it flat funded. Because what they experienced during COVID and with a lot of children having to wear masks, parents have been driving their children to school since COVID began, which caused a lot of backup in lines and safety issues. So they had to use the security staff a lot more in the last 2 years. So as a board, we believed that things would start to return to normal now with the mask mandate being lifted, and that potentially kids would start riding the bus again, which would alleviate the need for security staff. So we're kind of taking a guess, and we kept it flat at 60,000.
so we know for sure that we did 60 last year.
Yes.
It's probably flat funded. We know that it's gotta be in the budget somewhere. We just need to
Yeah.
find that number.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Just a miss, zero was just a miss, and you put 60,000 in for like. Is there a minus 60?
There's a line somewhere, yeah.
Right.
Right.
I can get those numbers. I wish Tom was still here. He might know. I know a heck of a lot
Is it a
more.
50-50 thing?
No. No,
Okay.
this is more of just a offsetting the project itself.
But yeah, if we could get that.
Yeah.
I was gonna lead me to another question. Did all the puts and takes and moving from Munis and moving it into here, and did you roll through on the FY 22 original budget? And when you got to the bottom at the end, did it match up the FY 22 budget? It did.
So there's somewhere.
So it's in there
So it's there
somewhere.
somewhere.
It's in there somewhere.
It may even be a hidden line. So, but I did find it. It's on page 44 of the old budget book, under security staff. I'm double checking. The Munis number is still the same. So it's really an odd question as why that 60,000 didn't pull over. Someplace.
It
is one.
Last year. Yeah, so, and it was 60.
Mhm.
So we know it's flat fund. So really, it's one of those situations where there's not much going on here. It's just that because 2022 zero, now all of a sudden we go, whoa, where's 60, where's it now? But it's somewhere in here.
2022 total.
Right, we know it's in here.
I will call
It's just not
support.
right here. Yeah.
I'll call support and try to help them, or have them help me find it.
It is 9 o'clock.
We want, before we close, we want to have a discussion on the rental or back up the fire department. Thompson Hill, you know, that special.
Yeah, no, I mean, we got a lot more meetings.
Yeah.
I think some of the same.
I'd be okay with coming back to it.
I made a note.
Is that could go another. Oh, what?
And just for next time.
That's right. And I was gonna mention, so, you raised a good point, that Bob Genties is with us, with the town, with the Board of Education for the end of this month. So that means if we wait until after the end of the month, to discuss the Board of Education budget, we don't have the advantage of being among us to discuss some of those. So, I reached out to Melinda and I said, well, actually, Steve and I reached out to Melinda and say, would you feel more comfortable if we were to discuss the Board of Ed budget while Bob Jenkins is still with us? She said, "Yeah." So the thinking is perhaps when we meet next Thursday, we kind of hit the pause button on the downside. Not something we've done in the past, but we don't have a full business manager but a lead. That is the case now. We hit the pause button on the downside. So talk about do the work there. So at least we can ask the questions. If there's anything that Melinda can answer, Bob can. And then by the time he departs, we've already sort of pulled the layers on. And then back.
You do have the auditors coming in next week also, so I don't know if there's time for both of those.
Usually what we do is, and you raise a good point, the auditors means that it's longer than just a regular. And typically what we'll do is we'll do the regular, if it's the third Thursday of the month, and we're doing a budget workshop, we'll just do the regular meeting, and at the end we'll put budget workshop. I think we've got 2 more Thursdays in the month of March. I don't know if Bob is leaving before March 31st or 30th or whatever.
I believe April 1st.
Okay, so he'll be with us, because there's 2 more Thursdays a month. So that means we don't have a lot of time from Board of Ed. There's plenty of time to follow. Right. And depending on what progress we make by April 1st, we may or may not add some Tuesdays. I know we've done that in the past, and it looks like we still have a lot of work to do, and we're starting to run short. We'll add to basically just create more time.
So 2 days a week.
If we feel like we need to do it, because we moved back the deadline by which we have to get a budget off of our table because of when town meeting happens and the number of days between when we've gotten the budget off our table and the report basically put out the public postings for town meeting. So we kind of backed ourselves up a little bit, I don't know, 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And so now it's a little bit more truncated than it used to be. So we sometimes we come into April and say, oh boy, we still have a lot of work to do. Let's do Tuesday, Thursday for the next. So if we have to, we can. Man, I can't.
Messed up all my.
And then one more thing is, I won't be here physically next week. I'll be traveling. I may be able to call in, but I won't be of much use because of the kind of wheel of a car. So not like I'll have a laptop and I'll be able to at least. Vice chair is going to be running that. And hopefully Dave is feeling well enough he can come back. Because if he's not either connected by Zoom or in person, then it'll be 4 instead. But it'll be a regular meeting, so, well, right, and I can at least listen in. So, right, if it comes to motions and seconds and votes, yes, I can participate in that. I just won't be able to take notes and all. I'm just gonna turn it over to Rob. No way. From behind the wheel of the car that I heard. Anything else as far as budgetary, workshop discussion for the night?
Who provided those next? Their
Well, I was
budget gets
gonna say-
approved, whatever it is.
If we want to go to Board of Finance member comments, I was going to say, everybody okay with moving on to Board of Finance member comments? All right.
Want to speak about?
Oh, so which April was that? The 7th? Right, so I won't be available April 7th either because I'll be at an event for my day job. Unfortunately, I have this day job. gets in the way. And so I mean, I won't even be able to, like, you know, phone. And Rob, you are going to be off-site.
I'm starting a new day job. Leave Virginia. Quiet on the ground and I can definitely connect, yeah. Right. And I run the meeting remotely. You'd be more comfortable just that week having a meeting on Tuesday. Well, I don't mind running it remote. It can get a little choppy. It can work, but it can get a little choppy. Try it. Or move to another day. It doesn't have to be Tuesday.
Sure, but if we do move it to Tuesday, then I can be here in person.
May I just interject? That's Board of Selectmen meeting night.
Oh, what about Wednesday?
Wednesday should be, but I think there used to be branding and they no longer are meeting, so the Wednesday should probably work.
So that would be Wednesday the 6th. What we can do is plan on that, and then I'll just make sure that we put that out by email before David here. Put it out. If everybody's okay with that, then I think probably small. That's right.
It'll be a special meeting.
That's right. Anything else on the budget workshop?
If you don't mind, just get some after this.
No, but,
I'll show you.
okay.
I'll show you.
So it's okay to move on to Board of Finance member comments? You okay with that? Moving next time on the agenda?
Where the trees come from.
Yeah, so with these lovely. Just. Di, thank you.
Good extra money in the budget.
Thank you. Thank you. Very nice.
The leprechaun has good taste.
Yeah, mine's almost gone.
Anything else? Any other Board of Finance member comments? Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, Bob, actually, we did it, and, you touched on some things, at the end of the last meeting, budget, Board of Finance member comments, and then kind of after the meeting, we kind of said a couple of things, so just, things in the future for town. You know, we have a lot of this ARPA fund money coming in and a lot of big projects for the town. And gonna be expenses that come along with those things, in the future. So, you know, we know we're gonna have we have an ambulance building, we're gonna have HVAC systems in that are gonna need routine maintenance and another heat bill, more, you know, electricity, oil, you know, I can go on and on about different things. Same thing with 65 Main, you know, it was left dilapidated for many, many years, and now there's a $240,000 federal grant to bring it back. But, and, you know, it's gonna have to be upkept. Same thing with the track at the school. You know, I graduated in 1991 from the school, it was brand new, you know, then, and it just went downhill from there. So at the same time that we think about building town, we gotta remember that we don't wanna build so much that we outbuild our britches of what building people are willing to pay and maintain, because things will just like get sidetracked and will continue to fall apart in disarray by what we do every year here at the table with the Board of Finance. We said, what's the priority this year? You know, okay, the library is, you know, got a leak now, we gotta do a roof. You know, and we always have to balance that. And that's basically what we do every year. Balance what our priorities are of our maintenance of our things, but we're adding more to the plate, things to maintain, so that's gonna be, you know, we have to keep an eye out. Watch. You kind of touched on it last week, and then I delved a little bit further. Basically, in a nutshell, what I was saying.
Your point, that's how we had ended up with a track that we can't have meets on because lack of maintenance.
My comment after, right, talked about as a group, when we were discussing the allocation of the ARPA funds. Make sure we looked at what would have a continual maintenance or burn on the town. Great comment. I would also add that what going to do that, let's really focus in on, are we doing it for things? You say everything's important to somebody, but
Absolutely.
to me, like, I look at that new fire, EMS station. That touches everything. That's, Staples, right? You know, I totally agree with you, and I think when we do it, we should feel good about what areas if we're gonna burn the town. My comment was, for our first selectman and team, that, great job finding a new finance director in such a short period of time. And you brought a number of people in, including some of the folks on this board, so we already have some insight, into Bill, right? And so I think that's great. He seems really strong. Also with the HR function, I get to spend a little bit of time with the shared service HR person. She's really enjoying it. You can see it in her step, you know, so we need good people, you know, it takes good people to make the town run in all facets, you know, and I wanted to publicly acknowledge, not only Amy, but the whole team, bringing in good, strong people, doing it quickly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for participating in the selection and the search. So. We do. Town's gonna be blessed. So.
The other Board of Finance. Someone want to make a motion to? Let's get the motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? One carries 5-0. It's 9:13 PM. Thank you. See everyone next